Happy holidays, everyone. This is another edition of The End Zone along with Cameron Johnson. I am Colby Daniels. Hope everybody's having a great holiday season. It was about 8-9 days ago that everybody's really excited about OU going to the college football playoff and hosting Alabama. And the Thunder were on a roll, and just a short time later, it's kind of taken a left turn, and it ended for Oklahoma. And it's not currently going well for the Thunder, but a long way to go. Cameron, how was your holidays?
Fantastic. Yeah, I got to see all sorts of family members to put in some good miles and still have a few more miles to put on.
There you go.
So far, all has been great. It's had some good food. How about yourself?
Good, good. I was able to, I've watched football, I've watched basketball, had a little time off. Kids opened lots of presents, very little fighting between the kids, so that's about all you can ask for. So I'm as happy as I could possibly be. Other than the fact, again, the teams that we cover, it's not gone well for them in the last couple weeks. We'll get to Oklahoma in just a little bit, but we got to start with Thunder basketball because this was a team that a couple weeks ago everybody said is unbeatable. They're going to mow through the NBA, cancel the season, right? They're going to be the NBA champs. 2 weeks later, they were 24-1, tied for the best 25-game start in NBA history. Now they've lost 4 of their last 6. 3 times to the San Antonio Spurs, and there's some panic setting in amongst Thunder Nation.
Yeah, and I think I understand the panic. I also understand that they've played the Spurs 3 times, and what's the days now? Like 2 weeks?
That's right.
It is a small sample window. Granted, it is a little concerning when it's the same team and the point differential gets a little bit bigger and bigger each time. Ultimately, I think, Christmas Day, that meeting, you had some injuries on the OKC side, not in terms of, your main starters, but San Antonio, full health, especially with Wemby. He's back in full force. I get it, but I see both sides of the argument. Ultimately, I'm not too concerned. I think how they respond is the biggest question.
No doubt, no doubt. We'll kind of talk about some of the way I guess the Thunder should handle all this stuff. But we got to hear from Mark Daigneault, Jalen Williams, SGA. This was that trio following the 3rd loss in 2 weeks to the San Antonio Spurs after the Christmas Day 15-point defeat.
We're still learning this team. Obviously, we've got a ways to go in terms of understanding the best formula against them.
Mark was talking to us after the game, and it was like when you want the game really bad, we kind of lost track of that, and then every play we tried to make down was like a Hail Mary instead of sticking to principles regarding our offense. Because every time we went through our progressions, we got really good looks. There's probably a stretch where we missed 5 or 6 wide open threes. And I think us missing those led to us not playing defense on the other end. And it kind of just snowballed from there. And then when they're making shots, you get hasty, and 9 points feels like 20. And I don't think we did a good job of course correcting throughout the game and sticking with it. And those are the losses that are frustrating, when it's you kind of give up a little bit on playing the right way a little bit. And that's not aimed at one person. It's just in general, small stretches of the game where you don't play the right way can lose you the game. And I think we didn't do a good job on that.
We have to get better as a group. You don't lose to a team 3 times in a row in a short span without them being better than you. So we have to get better. We have to look in the mirror. And that's everybody, from top to bottom, if we want to reach our ultimate goal.
There you go. SGA said it there at the end. You don't lose to a team 3 times in that period, and you consider yourself the better team, right? San Antonio's clearly the better team right now. There's a lot to digest, I think, in all of those comments, and I will just start with this first and foremost. San Antonio's the better team right now, right? There is a long way to go before we reach the NBA postseason, and guess what? Nobody in the NBA, including the Oklahoma City Thunder, is playing playoff-style basketball right now. So very rarely, when you get into the postseason, do I ever take anything that happened in the regular season and apply it to how I consider to be a deciding factor between two teams. It rarely equates the same way in terms of regular season basketball versus postseason basketball.
Yeah, and there's an advantage. Obviously, if you're a fan, you want to see your team not lose a game again after you drop that first one to Portland. But I like the early adversity, or I guess it's still early at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good adversity, a good measuring stick, especially puts a little chip on your shoulder for it to be 3 straight times to the same team. It's also kind of to the measuring stick deal. I saw a stat somewhere that was mentioning of the times that they've played a team with a top 10 point differential, I think it was, they're 2-4 this season, and then 0-4 in their last 4 games. So it's good to see them play this tougher competition. It's not calling what they've done so far easy,
right?
But this is a really good test for them, and like I said, the response is most important.
It's better for them to face adversity than to run through the entire regular season without adversity, and then you start facing it in the postseason for the first time, because no matter how good you are, you're going to face adversity when you start playing playoff basketball. I do, I guess, in some ways understand the frustration with the fan base, because Jalen Williams said it there. Like, we wanted to win that game. I kind of felt like in the comments from all of the post-game commentary yesterday that I sensed more frustration from the Thunder than at any point in the NBA Finals last year. They lost three games in the Finals last season to Indiana, and I never felt like they were as frustrated in the Finals as they were yesterday after that Spurs game. So if you're a fan, that's got to hit in a certain way. Again, it's still early. There's a long way to go, and Mark Daigneault said it at the beginning. Everybody knows how to defend the Thunder, right? They're kind of they're the defending champs. You know what they are. He said we're still trying to figure out how to attack this team. And I will say, for Mark Daigneault, he's never going to give away the playbook when it doesn't necessarily matter. So I think there are probably things from a scheme standpoint that they will do differently or are going to still try in the other 2 games they have to play against San Antonio before the playoffs. But there's a long way to go. It's better to lose to them now than if this had happened in March. I would be much more concerned as you get closer to the postseason than 3 games and the third of those being on Christmas Day. So a ton of basketball to be played. All right, we've got to take a timeout. We are going to stick with some Thunder conversation because Kevin Durant was in the news again last week, and his former teammate Anthony Morrow had some comments about Durant's comments next. All right, welcome back to the End Zone. We still got to talk some OU college football playoff. I guess debacle is the best way to put that after blowing the 17-0 lead. So that's going to come up a little bit later in the show. We'll make game picks for the college football playoff games to be played throughout the new year. But earlier this week, or I guess last week, at the end of last week, Kevin Durant made his, I guess, yearly comments about why he left Oklahoma City for the Golden State Warriors. He was on the Fred VanVleet Unguarded podcast, I believe, and just basically said oh, here it is right here. In OKC, we had a lot of specialists, dudes that played defense but couldn't score on their own, couldn't shoot the ball, somebody who could shoot but then couldn't guard that well. So just basically saying, my teammates weren't very good around me. I caught up with a friend of the show, former Thunder player Anthony Morrow, and got his reaction.
We are specialists. Everybody's a specialist in the NBA. You just the most special one. You see what I'm saying? So if he's talking about Andre Roberson, great defender in his own right. He wasn't a great shooter, of course. That's my little brother. And he specialized and made a lot of money playing in the league by what he was great at. I made a lot of money. I thank God that I was the shooter I was. Yeah, we specialists. Everybody is specialist that plays in the NBA. I don't care who you are. There's only 425, 450 guys that get to, be blessed to play in our league, but you the special one. So when we started talking about being double teamed, game 6 against Golden State, Klay hit 11 threes, I understand. But if you roll the basketball right now and said me and said you against Klay one-on-one, who you think I'm taking? I'm taking Trey 5 every time. I'm taking Slim. You know what I'm saying? What happened in game 6? I love it so much. But we all saw that when I had to grab him by his shoulders and say, hey, man, it's your Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant finals like legacy moment right now. We got to deliver in them moments. It ain't about nobody else. You know what I'm saying? You got another Hall of Famer right beside you in Russ. You got guys over here. You got Serge. You got guys around. Deion Waiters. He's a specialist, one-on-one scorer. Unguardable at that time. So it's not about that. He told me to himself, LeBron James said, and we wanted Golden State. They won 73 games that year. We wanted them. We ain't want y'all. I'm not putting myself on no pedestal or nothing like that, but at the same time, you had some guys with you. You ain't just leave and go to like the Golden Land and just had everything else. You had Steph. They already won. They've already won. You know, and like I said, I love everybody. I love all of them. I love Kel. Kel's my brother. At the same time, Game 6 was real. When I had to grab him, look him in his eyes. Hey, bro, this is your moment right now. Show everybody who you are. I don't care about no double teams or none of that. Ain't nobody 6'11" out here with every tool in his bag to score and defend. We was right there. You think that ain't hurt when he left and went to them? It did. And I had to have a real conversation with him. I didn't see that coming, but I still love you. Real talk. He know that. He know that. That's still my homie to this day. Still my brother to this day.
There you go. I mean, it's been talked about, I feel like, every year at least.
Yeah.
Nationally, once a year since Kevin Durant made that move. Now, what has it been, 10 years now since he left the Thunder? But, you know, you hear those comments again, like, I didn't have enough help. You go back and look at that roster. You look at the position they were in. Up 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. LeBron James didn't want to play the Thunder in that finals, and you know, it's just crazy to hear it rehashed over and over and over, and for there still to somewhat be like this, like head in the clouds, just oblivious to the perception of every other human being on the planet.
Yeah, I mean, I always look back to that time. There's a reason that you have Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant viewed in a different light here in the state of Oklahoma. It feels like Kevin Durant played, I don't know if it's the blame game as much, it kind of sounds like it in this case, but it's just like, rehashing stuff that he doesn't need to rehash 10 years later, if not for the fact that he does it every other year anyway.
Right.
So it's like, it'd be one thing if it had been a long time since we had heard from him and now he's coming out and saying this, but it's just over and over. I don't know, to me there's no need. You say what you say, you say what you feel, but you know, I like the brotherly love, the tough love from Mario there, and just keeping it real with him, but also the respect he still has there. So I think that was the most important takeaway.
That's right. All right, we have some Oklahoma football coming up on the other side of the break, but first we've got to get 10 seconds of MAC football.
Yeah, we got more breaking news out of the MAC. Ohio University, their trauma, it's now come to an end. After their bowl win, they finally decided on the new head coach for their program. It's going to be none other.
That was Adam King, MAC correspondent, with 10 seconds of MAC football here on the End Zone. It's a OU college football playoff edition of Moving the Chains next. All right, welcome back to the show, along with Cameron Johnson and MAC correspondent Adam King. I'm Colby Daniels. It is an Oklahoma versus Alabama college football playoff version of Moving the Chains. Now, a little look behind the curtain. Thanks to the college football playoff and their stranglehold on the sport, we're not allowed to show you highlights from the game. We're not allowed to shoot highlights. So we're going to recreate what we watched last Friday night in Norman, Oklahoma. Let me first say the atmosphere was off the charts amazing until it wasn't. But, you know, things went south in a hurry. So on this edition of Moving the Chains, the biggest game-changing plays of that college football playoff matchup. Again, disclaimer, you're not re-watching the game here despite the athletic gifts that you're going to see. This is a total recreation. Okay, so on first down, second quarter, OU is commanding the football game, right? Double-digit lead. It's 3rd down and 3. John Mateer is rushed by an Alabama blitzing safety. He breaks the tackle and sprints out of the pocket, has a wide-open player down the football field to set up either a touchdown or maybe a 1st and goal. He throws it and, I mean, right through the hands.
Phew.
Incredibly disappointing play. I thought it really deflated the fan base in Norman. And now you have 4th down. And I mean, you either score a touchdown there and go up 24-7, or you have 1st and 10 from inside maybe the 15, and it's such a game changer, that incomplete pass. What happens next makes it an even bigger game changer, because one play later, Oklahoma's punter, who's been great all year long, just somehow couldn't hold on to the football, drops the football, and yeah, it sets up another Alabama score.
That was you could hear down blocks away. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it, I mean, drops the football. I like how it goes down as a punt block.
Right.
Because ultimately he did try to punt it after he picks it back up and it's blocked, but I mean, he just drops it for no apparent reason. Those plays back to back were so critical. Yeah. I think you have to give the OU defense a lot of credit for holding Alabama to a field goal after that giant momentum swing. But then it's still 17-10, and you feel like Oklahoma should be up by way more than that. They start driving again, so here's our next play. Late in the first half, Oklahoma's driving, got a big chance to maybe put points back on the board. There's a timeout called. Oklahoma maybe changes the play. John Mateer takes the snap and immediately just throws it to the wrong person for the pick six. Alabama scores the touchdown, and I really thought from that point on it was an eerie feeling inside the stadium, and Oklahoma really, even despite the 50 Cent appearance and the touchdown in the fourth quarter, it just never really felt like Oklahoma got going again. And to that point, I mean, late in the fourth, they have an opportunity to at least cut back into the game. The best kicker in college football, Tate Sandell, who's done nothing but make impossible kicks all year long, 36 yards, middle of the field, not on the right hash, not on the left hash, has the easiest kick perhaps that he's had all year long, and shanks it. And that was just the kind of night it was for Oklahoma. So there you go. Unfortunately, we can't show you any of what actually happened, but
I thought it looked exactly the same.
It's very, very close what we just did. Very, very close recreation to Oklahoma's disappointing loss to Alabama. Now the Crimson Tide will be playing Indiana at the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, and Oklahoma has to regroup and look in the transfer portal for reinforcements.
So I have an excuse there. I'm a MAC athlete. So that's a big stage for me.
Yeah.
So things were going to go wrong. But for you guys, I mean, this was day in, day out. We got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oklahoma fans will want answers this offseason, and I don't think they're going to get it out of the MAC, but, you know, we'll see.
You never know.
We'll see.
You never know.
All right, we got to take a time out. Game picks to wrap up the show next here on The End Zone.
Time now for the Brahms in the Bag Pick of the Week.
All right, wrapping up the show as we inch closer to the finale of the college football season. We have 4 big games, 1 on New Year's Eve, 3 on New Year's Day. Should be a ton of fun to watch these play out, and hopefully we have more competitive games than we had in the first round. But the Miami Hurricanes and the Ohio State Buckeyes, the first game, that is New Year's Eve night.
Yeah, Miami had an impressive defense against Texas A&M. Granted, Ohio State, I think, has a little bit better of an offense. I think, what was the 9.5 in that game? I think Miami ultimately covers, but I think Ohio State comes away with the win.
So I think Ohio State wins this all the way. I don't even hesitate saying that. And I think after watching how badly Miami played against A&M, I almost want to take Ohio State in the points, but 9.5 is a lot, and Ohio State hasn't played in what feels like 6 weeks now. So I think it's actually a somewhat close game, but Ohio State wins. Give me the 9.5 with Miami. All right, this might be the best game of the weekend as we get ready for these CFP matchups. Oregon, Texas Tech.
I think there are a couple of matchups that have this. You have a really good defense against really good offenses. It'll be really interesting to see how this one goes. Ultimately, I think Oregon comes out with the win on this one, and I expect it's going to be a mid-scoring game, I think. Maybe in your 20s, but it's going to be a fun one. Oregon wins.
This feels like a coin flip to me. Give me whoever's getting points in this type of game. So I'll take Texas Tech plus the 2.5. The only, I think, outright underdog of the first round bye teams. All right, Alabama in the Rose Bowl against Indiana.
Man, I think if you had given me that game a couple of weeks ago, I would have comfortably picked Indiana. But I think while the first quarter in Norman didn't show it, Alabama looks much improved. Who wins this game really could go either way. It's a coin toss, as you put it, but I think Alabama at least keeps it in a score.
I think Indiana wins, but I think Alabama keeps it tight, and I'll take Alabama plus the 6.5 to, I think the physicality maybe catches Indiana off guard. Ole Miss, Georgia, a rematch of earlier in the season.
This is another game that goes either way for me. I think maybe this is where you see the impacts of Lane Kiffin no longer being at the helm, but I think that Georgia wins this one outright.
For the 4th straight game, give me the underdog and the points. All these teams with a long time off, I think they struggle to just all cylinders click out of the gate. So should be a fun weekend. We'll talk more about it next week. Everybody, enjoy your weekend. For Cameron Johnson, I'm Colby Daniels. This is The End Zone.